Hello everyone, welcome to a new chess video. Welcome to the Danish Gambit, a truly spectacular opening that's going to help you crush your opponents by suffocating them until they can't take it anymore. So without further ado, if you don't know this gambit, I'll show it to you quickly and then we'll dive deeper. E4, E5, the two most popular moves in chess. And here we continue with D4. We're going to sacrifice a series of pawns to get deadly activity and tons of attacking lines. First, they take this pawn, but we don't recapture. Instead, we offer another pawn with c3. When they take it, again, we don't recapture, we develop our bishop to c4. After pawn takes pawn, we'll capture with the bishop and we'll be in the Danish gambit position. We've sacrificed two pawns, but we have these absolutely incredible bishops. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to punish every move your opponent makes. In other words, this opening is going to help you win a ton of games, especially in Blitz. If you don't believe me, just watch the video. First of all, these two bishops would be attacking the king side. If your opponent in a Blitz game quickly decides to develop their bishop anywhere, we simply capture this pawn and we've not only won the pawn, but also the rook. So this bishop can't be moved. Well, I'll move the knight. It's not that easy either, because if you move the knight, I'm going to push the pawn forward. And pay attention, because this knight can't jump here or here, since those squares are defended by our queen. This knight has to go back, which would be pretty sad, or jump forward to this square. And if it jumps forward, we've got a surprise waiting for it. We're going to make the classic sacrifice from the Danish Gambit and many other openings. Bishop takes on f7, we attack the weak point of the position, it can only be captured by the king, and when they take the bishop, the double attack with the queen is imminent. Queen to d5, check. And when the king moves back, we recover the material with queen takes knight. And this king, which is the most important thing, is left in the center of the board unable to castle because it has already moved. Also, with very little protection, which is going to leave us with some absolutely amazing attacking lines. We're going to develop our pieces, castle, and then go all in against the king. Now we're really getting down to business. Let's quickly review the line. E4, E5, we give up the first pawn with D4, we give up the second pawn with C3, and now by playing bishop to C4, we give up the third pawn on B2, and this one we actually take. Before we continue with the first absolutely spectacular line, because you're going to be blown away, I have to thank you all. You already know that YouTube has been working terribly, especially with my channel, and overnight it just stopped showing all my videos, so I wanted to thank you for the support you showed on yesterday's video. You guys are the best. That said, let's start analyzing the super powerful variations of this gambit, which is exactly why you're watching this video. Let's first analyze the most logical move, which you're probably wondering about. I've told you this bishop can't move because then the bishop would be captured here and the rook would fall. However, this bishop actually can move to one square, chess teacher. It could go to B, to B4, and check the king. In that case, we couldn't capture here anymore because we'd be in check. We would have to defend ourselves from the threat. How do we respond to this situation? Do we move the king? No, obviously not. Do we trade this bishop for a knight? No, because we want to keep both of our bishops on the board. So the move will be with the knight. Knight to c3 or knight to d2. Alright, here I'm going to recommend the move knight to d2. A very powerful move, and you'll see why from here on out. First, I recommend knight to d2, because that way we keep threatening bishop takes pawn. It's an absolutely brutal threat, which is why we've developed our bishops this way. They could continue, for example, with knight to f6, and when they play knight to f6, we've already said what we need to do. Advance this pawn. Now, for example, they're threatening knight takes e4. You can see that this knight is pinned, so this pawn would fall completely for free. By advancing, at least this pawn doesn't fall anymore. Now black has two options, either come here or come here, because you can see they can't go here or here since the queen is there. So coming here would be very passive. Come in here looks like a tremendous move, since they're putting even more pressure on the pinned knight. It might seem like we're already in serious trouble, but nothing could be further from the truth. The ones in trouble are actually them. and they probably wish they hadn't played this line. Let's see, first of all, how we can handle this. We have to come up with something to take advantage of this situation. The good thing is, I'm coming up with it for you and giving it to you as a gift, so you don't have to invent it yourself, just copy it. We're gonna sacrifice this bishop, as always. Bishop takes on f7, check. But when they capture, chess teacher, now I don't have queen to d5 check to recapture the knight, because we have this knight in the way. That's true, but we don't need to bring the queen all the way over here. We can play queen to d3, check, and we'll take the bishop on the next move. Or we'll keep attacking. You'll see. Now, this king could move back and lose a tempo, but here the most common move, I checked the database to see what black usually plays to defend against this, is to play d5, hoping that we'll capture the bishop and this knight will stay defended. But the thing is, by playing d5, we can capture en passant and give another check. So here we would end up in a much better position. Now, if they have to block, the most logical move is to block with the bishop, attacking our queen, and now we can capture this pawn here. We're attacking this knight with this piece and with this piece. So the most common thing is for them to trade off this knight quickly to get out of trouble. And what do you think? Are we going to recapture with the queen or with the king? Well, neither of that. We're going to keep attacking against all odds. Check this out. Here we have an absolutely brutal move. I want you to enjoy this line because it's truly amazing. If you want, you can recapture in your own games, but I'm going to show you a truly impressive way to continue. We'll place the queen over here, giving check, and once again we're attacking this knight. Plus, we're putting pressure along this file and threatening to capture this pawn here and fork. So when the king moves away, pay attention because we have this pawn, we capture here with the pawn, forking the queen and the knight. Don't tell me this line isn't absolutely fascinating. We fork the queen and the knight, so the queen has to move. Most likely it'll go here, lining up for an X-ray to try some interesting discovered attack with the king. And what are we gonna do? Are we gonna get out of the discovered attack by capturing the knight here? No, we have another absolutely amazing move. Whoever guesses this move is literally a god, because it's practically impossible to see. Only computers can see it, but since we've studied it, we know we have this absolutely amazing move, queen to e5. And why is it so impressive if it looks the thing? Look, first, it gets out of the pin. Second, it still keeps the support. And third, it's creating a super strong battery, threatening checkmate on the next move. So this move is just full of threats. How can black stop this? Honestly, it's getting pretty tough for them. The mating attack is imminent. The threat to capture here is also imminent. First, they have to defend against mate, but once they do that, they're leaving this capture here wide open. We capture here, promote to a queen, and they have to take it. So we recapture, check, and you can see we're entering a really powerful line. When they bring the queen back to defend against this check, I can tell you right now that you can trade queens and then capture this knight, and you'll have a completely winning endgame with a rook and an extra piece. You don't have to memorize what I'm about to tell you next. Just do this and that's it. But we have a killer move with Coca-Cola, as the great master Pepe Cuenca, who's a genius, would say, and I sent him my regards from here. We have a killer move, which is knight to f3, trading these knights. This knight that black thought was lost is going to say, oh, this is really good. Alright, first, hold on a second. Hold on, I can already see you in the comments. I can already see you in the comments. Are you leaving your queen hanging? You're absolutely right. This queen has to move back first. Where's this queen gonna go? Live mistakes, it happens. Good thing I corrected it in time. Where is this queen gonna go? We'll put her back here again, threatening checkmate once more and attacking this bishop. A bishop that either has to retreat or be defended by the queen. And now, yes, we'll place this knight here, like I was saying before. It's just that I memorized too many lines, guys. Sorry about that. Knight to f3. Now, yes, they're gonna trade this knight, because this knight was already considered lost. So what do we do about this? It looks like a really bad move, doesn't it? Yeah, it seems like a really bad move, but actually it's really good because we're opening the file for the rook and putting absolutely fascinating pressure on the g7 square. It seems like this can't be stopped anymore. On top of all the extra material we have, for example, they might play over here. Why? To try to bring this rook over here, their last remaining hope. At this point, it's practically a massacre. If we play here attacking, they could play here defending. Now we have a brilliant move, which is long castling. We're gonna bring in the rook, and now they really can just resign. This line is absolutely amazing. You can't tell me it's not. I hope you're really enjoying these lines. The most important thing isn't to memorize them by heart. You already know that chess is very complex and every game is unique. The important thing is to understand all the concepts. And the more concepts you see in games and are able to connect, the better you'll be able to execute them in your own games. Let's see what happens here. If instead of playing the knight here, as we've already seen, if we push the pawn or come in with a check, they might play a slower line to avoid getting into trouble, since they have a two-pawn advantage, like playing d6, just to stay out of trouble, as I said. Here, we're gonna recommend the move knight to f3. We develop our knight so that, who knows, in the future, after the knight comes here, we might jump in and make this typical attack. And so here black might play a move as typical as bishop to g4. Bishop to g4, which is a huge blunder. This is already a mistake. Simply put, as always, this bishop is undefended. You can see this in any of your own games. You already know that on the channel, there's a video about how to punish this move in general, which is sometimes pretty bad, and I show you how to punish it. If you want, alright, I'll leave the video in the description so you can check it out after this one if you want. And now, let's see how to punish it in this position right here. We simply capture the f7, bishop takes f7, check. When the king recaptures, we can jump with the knight to this square here, knight to e5, check. Chess teacher, have you lost your mind? You're sacrificing the knight. The knight isn't being sacrificed because the queen is undefended. So this knight can't be captured. And at the same time, we're checking with the knight and capturing the bishop with two different pieces. So when the king moves, no matter where he goes, we're simply going to recapture this bishop here that our opponent gave us by putting it in this pen. What happened here? We've won back a pawn from our opponent, and most importantly, we've ruined their castling. This king can no longer castle and will be stuck here in the center of the board for the whole game, making it easy to attack. So we've seen that this move was really bad. Let's see what happens if they play bishop to e6, trying to trade off one of our most powerful bishops. Why? Because this is the bishop. This is the bishop that's usually sacrificed over here and causes so many problems for black. So how should we play if they try to trade off this bishop? Well, we're going to trade it, of course. Bishop takes e6 and pawn takes e6. And now how do we continue? With the move queen to b3, a double attack. We're attacking the e6 square and also the b7 square. A double attack that's so dangerous in chess. The only move that defends both squares at the same time is queen to c8. Why? Because it defends over here and it defends over here. And now we simply jump in with the knight to put even more pressure on this square here. You might say, come on, chess teacher, I'll just push it forward and that's it. But then you get hit with a totally brutal checkmate. This pawn can't be pushed forward. So it can't be defended by any piece either. The only piece that can come over is the king. Things are starting to get dicey now. It already looks like black is in trouble, but if we don't know how to punish it, it doesn't matter if they're in trouble. So I'm going to show you how to punish it. You're starting to like the Evans Gambit, huh? It's spectacular. We're going to capture this pawn here with the knight. Knight takes e6. And now what? We're giving away this knight here. We're losing a lot of material. Yes, but we're diverting the defense of this pawn here, which was the queen. And now, by capturing this pawn with the queen, not only do we defend this pawn, which was under attack, but now we're going to capture the rook, because, as you can see, there's no way to defend it. So we would have not only a positional advantage, but also a material one. I'm really enjoying these lines here with you all. Even though YouTube isn't treating you well, we're having a great time. Let's see what happens if our opponent is super aggressive and brings the queen to attack the weak spot. Well, my friend, I have a surprise for you. I've already sacrificed 2 pawns for you, but I'm going to sacrifice a third by playing knight to f3. I'm threatening your queen and offering you this pawn right here. I'm giving you the get-to pawn. Have you gone crazy, chess teacher? Yes, I've gone crazy. That's right. It is what it is. I've gone crazy. But I'm giving you this pawn for a special reason. I'm going to bring my rook over here to attack your queen. The knight's defended, the rook is also defended, so the queen has to move away. And now I guess you all know this tactic and you've all seen it, but if not, I'll tell you. Bishop takes on f7 here is winning.
Why?
Because if they capture with the king, we'd have this knight jump check and we take the queen. It'll be beautiful. But if they don't take it, it could also happen, chess teacher, that they don't take the bishop. So what do I do? It could be, for example, that they move the king away, of course, but then we have a truly spectacular move here, which is rook takes pawn. Now we sacrifice the rook. We're threatening this knight here, so the attacks are imminent. They can't move out with the knight because even more problems would come up. We could come in here with discovered attacks. So here, the most normal thing is for them to capture this rook. They accept the exchange, and then we capture here, defending this rook. You might not believe it, but the most played move here, without a doubt, is knight to h6. If you take me here, I take you there, and not much really happens. But we simply play bishop here, checkmate, and this king can't escape. We've seen a lot of options for black. Now let's look at the best option for black pieces. That is, what happens if you face a player who has studied theory and knows this line well? How can we counter them? Well, the best move here is knight to c6, which is a bit of a strange move since it seems a little too passive. But hey, they might play anything against us, so we have to be ready for everything. In this case, as always, I recommend knight to f3, a pretty strong developing move. The thing is, we have a problem, and I'm going to explain what that problem is. When they give us this check here, we can't use the same strategy as before, which was to play knight to d2 and all that to bring the queen to b3 and take the bishop, because now this bishop is defended by the knight. So we're going to change things up a bit and jump with the knight to c3. And now you'll see why. Knight to c3. Black can keep playing naturally with knight to f6. A very normal standard game, and now we're simply gonna castle. Once we castle, what can black do? They can castle too, for example, and we're gonna continue with the move knight to d5. A pretty powerful move. Why is it such a powerful move? Because now this knight is being threatened by two pieces, so it has to be captured, and we'll recapture with the pawn, putting a lot of pressure on this knight here. A knight that's running out of good squares. The most common thing is for it to go to e7, to put more pressure on this pawn here. And here, we're going to play the strong move queen to d4 to put a lot of pressure on the opponent's castling. Remember, here, without forgetting the theory, you have to keep one fundamental thing in mind. We have to attack. If we play this gambit, we have to attack nonstop. Our idea is to take advantage of our two bishops that are aiming at the enemy king. Therefore, a queen to d5 in this position is brutal because it directly threatens checkmate. Here, there's several options to stop the checkmate. For example, c6 is terrible because we would simply push the pawn to d6, discover check, and we'd capture the knight on the next move. So this move isn't possible. And the other option, which also seems possible, is to bring the knight over here, attacking the queen and at the same time defending this square. What happens now is that we just need to move our queen to the king's side, queen to g4, threatening checkmate again, not immediately, but now we attack the knight first, which can't move. If the knight moves, it's checkmate. So this knight can't move. It's true that they could play d6, defending this knight, and at the same time also countering a possible discovered attack. But what we need to do is take advantage of the bishops. I always tell you in this opening, make use of the bishops. We move the bishop from d3 back one square, redirect it, and improve its position by placing it here, putting more pressure on this knight, which is attacked by two pieces and can't move because it would be checkmate. So this position is fallen apart. Here, black's pieces can hardly do anything anymore, because we're also threatening a discovered attack with this bishop after moving it back. Therefore, this position is unsustainable. Do you know what move a lot of books recommend against the Danish gambit? They recommend the move d5, and I'm going to show you how to counter it. If they play d5, we'll capture with this bishop. You can see that the idea behind d5 is to give up this pawn, but to free up the position a bit. Now, it's true they could play c6, and many of you might think this forces the bishop to move, leads to a queen exchange, and lets black take advantage of their extra pawn. But nothing could be further from the truth. We have the move that always saves us in this opening, which is bishop takes f7. This move is one you should always calculate. Now, the king can't capture, goodbye, because the queen would be left completely undefended. Therefore, the king has to keep defending the queen with king to e7, but there's this spectacular move, bishop to a3, check. And now the king can't come here to defend the queen, so it has to move away, and we're going to take the queen completely for free. Thank you. So we've seen that the move c6 is complete garbage. Why? Because then we would capture here and they would lose the queen. What move do the books recommend after d5? Well, they recommend the move knight to f6, threatening this bishop that is right now, in quotes, pinned for the queen exchange. We'll simply defend it with the move knight to c3. It's true, they can capture it, but now our knight here would end up in a pretty good position. We've lost our most powerful bishop, but our knight is now in a really good position. A lot of you might think, now they really can threaten our knight, and once it moves, they'll be able to trade queens. But here there's a spectacular move, which is knight to f6 check, sacrificing the knight. The queen can't take it because of the bishop, but the pawn can, and now it's us who get to trade queens. Why? Because now we'll play bishop takes f6 check, and on the next move, we'll take the rook. What happens if our opponent doesn't want to go into the Danish gambit line with d4, and when we play c3 after they capture here, instead of taking, they'd try to play a line like, for example, d5? We shouldn't worry about it, because we're just going to capture here, and after the queen takes, we recapture this pawn here and end up with the same material. We aren't down a single pawn, and on top of that, we have extra tempo, because we're going to attack a queen that's in the center of the board with our knights, and will develop faster than black's pieces. However, here we have a material advantage. Therefore, it's most common that your opponent won't play this line against you. If they do play it, it's no big deal. d4 here, they take, c3, and here it's most common for them to capture with bishop to c4. It's possible that they still don't capture here, and instead play a line like this. We just keep developing, and at some point, they'll end up capturing this pawn here, and we'll recapture it with our bishop. And if they don't capture it, then we'll end up taking it ourselves with the knight, and we'll enter another gambit line called the Gory Gambit, which is also very powerful. Now, for those of you who made it to the end of the video, I want to thank you once again for your support. Honestly, I'm really loving all the support I'm getting. You already know that YouTube is treating us pretty badly. Before, when you search for chess on YouTube, we were at the top. We were trending, and I don't know what happened to YouTube, but now they're pushing us down from one day to the next. But together, we're gonna make it. Thank you so much. If you've made it this far, it's because you liked the video. Please leave me a like and a comment. I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It doesn't cost you anything at all. In fact, YouTube has taken away my subscribers, and I want to reach 100,000. So I hope you really enjoyed the video. Thank you all for your support. I read all your comments, and I'll see you in the next video, friends. Goodbye.